So today's topic is hierarchy of classification. Hierarchy of classification. Okay. What are the various hierarchy of classification? Species, I mean levels of classification. Species, genus, family, order, class, phylum, kingdom. What are all these? Simple example I'll say you to understand. Uh, you know that single organism is called as organism, group of organisms is called as population, you know this one also. Cells will group together form tissues will group together form organs will group together form organ systems. If this is not known to you, I'll say you another example. Small towns are there, they'll group up to form city. Cities will group up to form a district will group up to form a state, states will group up to form a country, countries will group up to form a continent, continents will group up to form total world. So same like that, in biology also we have levels of classification. Okay, a similar group of similar looking species, group of all similar looking organisms will come under one species. If there are so many organisms like I, you, all these human beings are same. Why same? We are having standing position, two legs, two hands. Not only those parts which are visible, I said you internal structure also. My lungs, your lungs, all almost similar. There may be small differences between structure of eye, structure of nose may be different, but all are having two eyes, all are having one nose, all are having mouth, 32 teeth are present. This similarities, structural similarities or structural similarities, structural similarities are called as morphological similarities. Morphology means structure. Morphology means structure. Structure of different organisms like us are same. We have same type of internal organs, same type of external organs. All these organisms come under one species. Okay. For example, when you're writing scientific name also, Solanum tuberosum. This tuberosum is the species name of potato. This is the name of potato. Okay. Among the Solanum, there is Melongena also. Melongena is name of brinjal. It is a different species. It belongs to a different species. Okay. In Solanum nigris also is there. You take for example, Panthera. Panthera has Leo, lion. Panthera is the genus name. Panthera tigris is the name for tiger. And Panthera pardus is the name of leopard. So for, I should write this small letter. Sometimes I'm forgetting in writing capital. Just forgive me children for this. You should write in small letter, right? So this Panthera leo, Panthera tigris. 1 minute. So now listen carefully. A group of species will form one genus. A group of genus will form a family. A group of families will form an order. A group of orders will form a class. A group of class will form a phylum. A group of phylum will form a kingdom. Then how can see, for example, in potato family, potato is named as Solanum tuberosum. In this genus Solanum, there is brinjal also. There is nigris, one more, but In Panthera, you take the example of genus Panthera. Lion is there, which is called as Panthera leo. Tigress is there, Panthera tigris. Leopard is there, Panthera pardus. These are different species. Lion is different from tiger, is different from leopard. You can understand externally also. Lion is having very good amount of hair. That hair is absent in tiger. So structural difference is there. That's why we are separating into different groups. If structurally all similarities are there, then only we'll put it in a one group and they are called as species. Okay, how is it simple way to understand which organisms can come under one species is whether they can produce babies or not. Okay, see, if a dog varieties are there, so many dog varieties are there. German, some names are there, I don't remember, Pomeranian or some different names are there. Can two different types of dogs come close together and produce babies? It's not possible. Always. So a Pomeranian dog can produce baby with Pomeranian dog only. It cannot produce with another dog. So this is different species, that is different species. So this is, see, you see monkeys are there, gorillas are there, chimpanzees are there. All these are looking same. To look, you feel that they are belong to same group. But will monkey produce babies with chimpanzee? Will chimpanzee may produce baby with orangutan? Will orangutan produce baby with gorilla? It's not possible. So all organisms belonging to one species are those organisms, they can produce babies among themselves. Okay? Now this should be clear. So similar, total similarity should be there except small variations. Okay? You are also having eyes, I am also having eyes, but your shape of eyes and my shape of eyes are different. Okay, lion is having, all lions will have hair. The length of hair or color, a little bit of color difference will be there. A little bit of size difference will be there. But all are having hair. Okay, so that's how all species are having similar morphology. One similar morphology. Morphology means structure and reproductively isolated, reproductively isolated, okay? Reproductively isolated means they can produce babies among themselves only. With other groups, they can produce babies among themselves. That is called as reproductive isolations. Okay, now species is clear. Now I said you Solanum tuberosum, Solanum melongena, Solanum nigris is a leafy vegetable. Solanum melongena, it's brinjal. This is brinjal. So this all will have same genus name. So they all belong to same genus. This is a different species. This is a different species. This is a different species. But there are some similarities like monkey, gorilla, chimpanzee, they have some similarities even though they belong to different groups. Same like Panthera leo is different from Panthera tigris, is different from Panthera pardus, but they have some similarities. So that's why they are put under genus. The similarities between one Leo and another Leo is so much. But the similarities between all that belong to Panthera, there may be small differences, but there are some similarities. Like that, organisms belonging to same, what do you say, if the genus of different genus are looking same, they'll come under same family. Different genus which are similar will come under same family. Okay, I'll rub this so that it is clear for you. Panthera leo, so whether it is a tiger, whether it is a lion, or whether it is a cat also, leopard also. They are all similar. They belong to a family called Felidae. You take dogs, I said you there are German Shepherd, Pomeranian dog, normal street dog. These are all coming under a family called Canidae. Okay. So a group of similar looking genus will come under same family. Right. Same like that in plants also. In plants also, Solanaceae is the name of family. It includes Solanum, genus Solanum also. 1 minute. Solanaceae is a name of a family. It includes genus Solanum also. It includes the genoms Datura also. Petunia. Petunia is a name of another genus. All these genus come together because they have certain similarities. Some similarities are there. So based on that, they come under same family. All cat families, one. All different types of dogs are coming under same family. Like this, different species come under same family. Now, different families come together. I said you Solanaceae is there. Solanaceae. One more family, Convolvulaceae. Convolvulaceae is a example. So these two families come together to form an order called Polymonales. Polymonales. Okay. Like the different orders come together to form a common class. See, for example, primates are there. Okay, I didn't say about animals. In animals also, Felidae is cat family, Canidae is dog family. Both of them will come under an order called, what's the name of this order? Carnivore. Carnivore includes dogs and cats. All the carnivorous organisms like tiger, these are also all the, organisms that are present in cat family. All the organisms that are present in Canidae family come under the order Carnivore. Now see the class. Class, for example, Mammalia is a class which includes all mammals. In this primates are also there. Primate is one order. This primates includes all gorilla, chimpanzee, orangutan, monkey. These all come under primates. We are also primates. Human beings also come under primates. This is one order, order Primata. Order Primata. Order Carnivora. Others also are there, not only these two. So other orders are also there. See, different orders that are similar are coming under a group. What is the similarity in all these mammals? All of them feed their babies with milk. All of them give birth, most of them give birth to babies, and all of them feed the babies with their milk. That is a common between this primata and carnivora. If you take phylum, phylum Chordata. Phylum Chordata includes this Mammalia, class Mammalia also, class Reptilia also. Reptilia also included in this. Aves means birds. Aves are a class of birds is called as aves. All aves are also included in this. All amphibia also. Amphibians are called as amphibia also included in this. One more. Piscus, fishes are also included in this. Piscus means fishes are also included in this. So these all are present in the same phylum Chordata. What is the common for this? They have notochord. Notochord means we have vertebral column backside. Same like that, something is present, one bunch of neurons is present in all these organisms. That's why all of them are called as chordata. Okay, all chordates have back vertebral column is present. So that is why they are all coming under chordates. Now, this vertebrates, which are called as chordates, and invertebrates, which are called as invertebrata. All these are coming under common kingdom called Animalia. Animalia. Similarly, plants. Plants includes all different flowering plants are there, non-flowering plants are there, small what algae that is formed in the water, small plants that are seen on rocks. These all come under Plantae kingdom, Plantae kingdom, Animalia. There are other kingdoms also. So by the end of this, you should be able to understand that a group of similar organisms which are structurally similar and reproductively isolated, they are coming under one species. A group of similar species come under genus. A group of similar genus come under one family. A group of similar family comes under one order. A group of similar orders come under a class, and a group of similar class come under phylum, and a group of similar phylum come under one kingdom, right? And one important thing you need to understand here is each level is called as one taxa. Okay, how many taxa are here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, each level. Species is one taxa, genus is one taxa, level of organization. Taxa means level of organization. Organization. So in this, if singular is there, it is called as taxon. Singular. Taxa means plural. Okay. So each one, this is one taxon, kingdom is one taxon, phylum is one taxon. That means one level of organization. In this organization, kingdom is one level, phylum is one level, class is one level. Each one is called as one taxon. All together are called as taxa. To study this classification, we'll study all the kingdoms which are present in five kingdom classification. But to study this classification, we have certain taxonomical aids. Taxonomical aids. For example, first type, botanical gardens. Botanical gardens are normal gardens, but different species of plants will be grown in a same place, whether they are from one country or from different countries, they'll be brought into a common place and they are grown. For each plant, there will be a label. Over that plant, there will be a label, the name of that plant, if that is belonging to whatever, if it is belonging to mango, on that mango plant, there will be written Mangifera indica. Definitely, it should be written. So, common name of that area, mango, will be written. What is order of Solanaceae and Convolvulaceae? Polymonales. Polymonales is the order for Solanaceae and Convolvulaceae, right? Okay, children, you ask me at the end of the class if you have any doubt, or you can ask me through that WhatsApp group also, right? Okay, we are going back to taxonomical aids, botanical garden. All different types of plants are brought in a common place. 1 minute. All the different, plants are brought in a common place. They are grown. Stickers are kept over that. Example of botanical gardens. There is a botanical garden in a place called Kew. This is in England. In India also they are there. I'll say you example. National Botanical Garden. National Botanical Garden. This is present in Howrah. Howrah is the twin city of Calcutta. And National Botanical Research Institute. National Botanical Research Institute is another place in our India only, Lucknow. Right. So you can go there, you can search for different types of plants. You can study a live plant. But there is another way to study plants. Herbarium. Herbarium means what they'll do is they'll take one book, they'll dry the plants, they'll put in the books and they'll dry the plants. So when the plant become like a, it will become like a layer. You put any plant in the book for a few days, it will dry and it will become like this, no? At that time they'll laminate that plant, they'll put it in a book. So I'll say you example. Suppose this is the book. Here one page is related to that plant, and the second page will be complete information, which species, which type of plant, or which genus it belongs, which family it belongs. All information related to that plant will be written in this book. Again, that page is completed. This page will be related to another dried plant will be kept here, and information will be like in this page. So many. In a herbarium, if you go, you can find piles and piles of records that holds information of this organism. So total, like a library only, it is like a library only. In a library, how many books you can see? So that many varieties of books are there. Each book will belong to one particular genus or species. Separately, they'll make bunches. They'll write the names. This type of plants are in this shelf. This type of plants are there in this shelf. So how easy it is to search a book in library. You ask a librarian, you say the name of that book, the librarian will easily take out that book. So same like that herbarium also, you simply say the name of that plant. You go to herbarium and say the name of a plant, that you need to say the scientific name, not common name of any area. So if you say the scientific name of that book, they'll take that book and they'll show you all the details of that plant, right? So that is called as herbarium. Next, after that herbarium, we have museums. Museum means nothing but like labs. See, if you go to, sometimes we are invited to Mamta Hospital lab. There, all the specimens will be kept, different animals. Cockroach one specimen, tapeworm one specimen. They'll put in a small closed container. In that liquid they'll keep and they'll close it. Sometimes we can see age, first month baby, second month baby of human being, of goat, of cat, of different organism, lambs. Like that, all specimens will be placed. Part digestive system separately, digestive system of cow. They'll take all the digestive parts and they'll keep in a some preservating liquids. Okay, that liquid will be ferrous sulfate, something like that. In that liquid, they'll keep and they'll preserve for long times. You can, in our school also, we can see some invertebrates like mollusca, tapeworm, roundworm. These different things are present inside a preserved liquid. Those rooms are called as museums. Sometimes they are very small, sometimes they are very large. Next one is geological park. You have seen Nehru Geological Park. Zoological parks. So this is an area where animals are their separate case rooms. So that means area for this separate animal. You can go there. Sometimes on the board itself they'll write this name of this animal is this. Next time when you go to Nehru Zoological Park, you identify. If you are going to tiger, there it will be written Panthera tigris. The name of that animal will be there, and details of that animal will be there. Different things related to that animal will be written there, so that you can get information about that animals. Different types of birds are there, different types of what do you say, snakes are there. You can go and study names. So names will be written there, what species it belongs, what genus it belongs. All those information will be written there. And one more thing is there, key. Key is nothing but, so I said you one plant belong to one particular name, genus name, species name is there. So all that information that is related to two different plants, you don't understand the differences between orange and neem, what do you say, lemon. You can go there, you can search for the key related to differences between neem and orange. Such a set is called as a couplet. Couplet means about two organisms it will be, and each book will show the differences between those two organisms. You can open which family this one belongs, which family this one belongs, which species this belongs, which species this belongs. You can study side by side, and finally you can choose the most suitable for you. If you are in search of something, you'll understand the differences between both of them, and so that you can study them, you can identify them, and you can use that which is if you are, suppose A person is making medicinal, Ayurvedic medicine from some particular plants. He can go there, he can compare those two of them, which is suitable, that plant he can choose. Okay. In such a key, you will not find letters. A, B, C, D will not be there. Some symbols will be there, like this one symbol, like this one symbol, like this. So you will not understand by simply seeing that key. You will not understand what is that. A botanist can understand. If you are studying botany from a long time, that person is called as a botanist, and that person will be able to identify what is the key meaning of that key, and each sentence. This is one sentence. Below that, one more sentence will be there. Below that, one more sentence will be there. See, each sentence in such key is called as a lead, because that will help us identify the difference between this plant and the next plant. Okay, each sentence, this sentence is called a lead, this sentence is called a lead. Okay, and that helps in identifying differences between two particular very closely related organisms. Okay, children. So next thing is classification. These are taxonomical aids. How many taxonomical aids? I said you 5. What are they? First one is herbarium. Second one is botanical gardens. Third one is museums. Fourth one is zoological park. And last one is key. Right. Now, classification. Scientists have been trying to classify organisms from very old ages. Previously, classification was done based on our need. Okay, like Parasar and Sushruta. Parasar and Sushruta. Parasar and Sushruta divided plants into medicinal and non-medicinal plants. Medicinal and non-medicinal plants. So based on like this, which based on our use, we have classified. These are edible plants, these are non-edible plants. These are medicinal plants, these are not. These are flowering, these are not flowering. These are shelter-giving plants, these are not shelter-giving plants. Like that, based on human needs, classification was done. But first time, classification on scientific basis. Scientific basis of classification was first given by a scientist. He is called as father of biology. You know his name? Will you say or shall I say? Scientific basis. First classification based on scientific basis was done by a scientist who is called as father of biology. What is his name? Will anyone of you say? Right? Someone has told. Ananya, very good Ananya. Aristotle. Aristotle is the Aristotle is the first scientist. His classification was very simple. He divided all organisms into plants, animals. All plants were divided into herbs, shrubs, and trees based on the external features. Animals were divided into animals that are having red-blooded animals, others which do not have a red blood in them. Cockroach do not have a red blood. Snail do not have a red blood. These organisms which do not have red blood are named as other organisms which have red blood or different category. So that classification was very simple, even though it was based on scientific basis. So based on kingdoms, an appropriate classification that was used for many years was first given by a scientist. His name is Carolus Linnaeus. Yesterday also we saw his name. For what topic I said his name yesterday? Who will say first? I'll see. Okay? Who will say first? I'll see the answer. Yesterday also I wrote this person's name. For what reason did I write his name yesterday? Who will say first? Yeah, Deepak is the first to answer binomial nomenclature. So yesterday we used his name for binomial. He is the person to name the organisms into binomial nomenclature. Yeah, Tanvi is also correct. And Lakshya is also correct. Okay, right. So Carolus Linnaeus, he gave two kingdom classification. Two kingdom classification is the first classification he gave. Under these two kingdom classifications, organisms were divided into Animalia and Plantae, and all organisms were either put into Plantae or Animalia. But this classification failed recently. It was used for many years, but recently we are also advancing, we are also increasing our knowledge day by day. So when it comes to recent generation, this classification is not accepted. Why it is not accepted? Because he did not classify organisms based on unicellular, multicellular organisms are there. He did not say about anything about this. There are some organisms which have chloroplast, which do not have chloroplast are there. He did not classify based on this. That means photosynthetic, non-photosynthetic. He did not put it to separate groups. He brought some of the photosynthetic organisms in this also. Some of the non-fungi is not having chloroplast, but that was placed under Plantae. Some small organisms like Spirogyra, which were having chloroplasts, also some organisms were placed under Animalia. There is no differentiation of unicellular and multicellular organisms. There was no differentiation of prokaryotes and eukaryotes. Prokaryotes and eukaryotes. By this time, you should know what is the difference between prokaryotes and eukaryotes. Organisms which have nucleus are called as eukaryotes. Organisms which have no nucleus, no well-defined nucleus is not there, they are called as prokaryotes. He did not classify. Some of the organisms you take, for example, Chlamydomonas. It is having algae, but it is unicellular. But still, sorry, it is having chloroplast, not algae. It is having chloroplast, but is unicellular. How can it be put under group Plantae? Spirogyra is multicellular. It is also having chloroplast. That is also put under the group Plantae. Fungus is not having any chloroplast, but still it is put under Plantae. So there are so many confusions that are not cleared by this classification. So what we are recently using is five kingdom classification. What we are using presently is a five kingdom classification. What we are using presently is a five kingdom classification. Five kingdom classification is a classification that was given by scientist. His name is Whittaker. What are the five kingdoms that are given by Whittaker? First one, Monera. Second one, Protista. Third one, fungus. Fourth one, Plantae. Fifth one, Animalia. So there are five kingdoms in Whittaker's classification. Okay, all plants were included in Plantae, animals in Animalia. Unicellular organisms come under Monera and Protista, and all fungus come under fungi. Each and every kingdom we are going to study in detail. Okay, in our coming classes. Right. So for today, I'm closing this class, children.